Welcome to the Afghanistan Project podcast. I'm your host, Beth Bailey, and my guests today are two members of the Afghan Journalists Support Organization, or AJSO, a nonprofit organization based in Germany. Freshta Hemmati is an Afghan journalist and women's rights activist. She holds a bachelor's degree in journalism and a master's in international relations, specializing in diplomacy. Over her 8-year career in journalism in Afghanistan, she has significantly contributed as an investigative journalist, a political programs host, and a skilled communications expert in various Afghan media outlets and international initiatives. Following her relocation to Canada due to the Taliban's takeover, she has collaborated with the Canadian provincial government, and currently she serves as the CEO of the AJSO and leads the advocacy committee for female journalists within the AJSO. Also joining us is Masood, an Afghan journalist who remains in his homeland, and on account of the severe quashing of media within Afghanistan, he's joining us today on the condition that we don't show his face or identify him. And it's just such an honor to have you both, Masood and Freshta, joining me today to talk about the state of the media in Afghanistan and what journalists are going through. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Beth, for having us.
As I said, it is totally my honor. I'd like to start by asking you how you got to where you are. Freshta, you've been able to escape the country and get to Canada. How did that happen for you, and how have you maintained, especially being removed from the country, how have you maintained the ability to report on the country and know what's going on there all these 3.5 years later?
Yeah. Thanks, Beth, for the question. It's a bit hard to answer this question, although it's more than 3 years past of that dark days of Afghanistan that still remains for many of our people in the country. But I was one of those luckiest people who could escape the country by the help of in Canada and all my co-workers that I was working with them on the ground in Afghanistan before the takeover of the Taliban. So I found my way to Kazakhstan first of all when the takeover happened. It was very difficult to manage everything. I still can remember those dark days of the takeover of the Kabul, when I had to remain at home with no job and no means of living anymore. So I was thinking of oh my God, what's gonna happen? Because I was only hearing that what was happening during the first takeover of the Taliban in Afghanistan. I was not experiencing those days, but the second time I was experiencing everything, and I was not allowed as a human being to go, outside to my office, to my lovely office, to meet my coworkers, to do what I was meant to be born and do that job, So before the takeover, I have had the opportunity to get a scholarship to Kazakhstan. So when the takeover happened, I was able to manage to get the visa with the help of my professors from Kazakhstan, that I'm really thankful to them until now. So I got the visa, and I could manage. Only that I had to say that it was only 7 days before the order of the Taliban that no single girl can go out of the country without without a male, mahram, or the one who is just, like a male guardian. So I was getting out of the country, some of my colleagues and all co-workers who have been evacuated out of the Afghanistan. So I was there for nearly 9 months, and after that I have been evacuated to Canada. Now I'm here, but with a wounded heart that's still crying for Afghanistan and my people and those all fellow journalists who are left behind in Afghanistan. But I'm happy that they are resilient, when I'm talking about the people of Afghanistan, and especially the women, and particularly the women journalists. I always see that resilience, and I'm saying the whole world should learn from the women of Afghanistan, the resiliency and still being able to have that hope, and that little hope keeps them going, every day. That's why I'm here, and that's why me and a group of Afghan journalists and university professors came up to have an official entity by the name of Afghanistan Journalist Support Organization to be able to help them, that I will, give the details later.
That's really incredible. And it's so refreshing to hear that story of hope and resilience. I often hear from women who say it's dark times and they really struggle to move forward, but that in the midst of that, they've been doing it for 3.5 years, and that really does show how resilient Afghan women are, because it is. I remember when that order came out that no single women could travel outside the country without a mahram, and I thought, oh my goodness, how are they going to escape now? And your timing was so fortuitous. I'm grateful that you were able to get out, and I'm grateful for the resilience of Afghan women, which has been honed over decades of tragedy, really, and difficulty, and that has had the side effect of creating really resilient people.
Exactly. Just to add something, Beth, when you were speaking, I wanted to say this one for every people that, when we were talking about the women of Afghanistan, there shouldn't be only the statistics. Like, this couple of millions of women are still at home, looking for an opportunity to get out of the house and go, pursue their education, go to the office, and these all things. These are just the numbers. But when you dig deep into that and go and explore those unique stories, it's like very heartbreaking, when you go and like talk to every individual and ask like how life looks like under the Taliban for you now. It's because of the fear that now like most of the women are ignoring to share this kind of information. But we are here to, like we have Masood here, with like he is here, that we can ask him that what is the situation in Afghanistan, and he is very courageous to come here and share those stories. That's why I'm always saying that the power of those unique stories, it's a lot. We shouldn't forget about that one. Let's not just talk about the numbers. Let's dig in deeper into that and like ask the people what is happening inside Afghanistan. That has to be raised. There are so many people, they have no idea about Afghanistan. Like literally the very first days of me being in Canada, I was talking to the people. I was going to the spotlights on Afghanistan, sharing my story with them, and there were so many people. They were saying like, "Hey, Freshta, you're from Afghanistan, right?" And I said like, "Right." And they are saying like, "Where does Afghanistan? Like, is it somewhere in Middle East?" And I was like, "Oh my God!" Like there are so many people, they do not have any idea about Afghanistan. It's not their fault, It's because we are not raising the awareness to the point that we should. So that's why we all journalists, those who are working in advocacy initiatives, we should all come together and raise this awareness as much as we can.
I agree. And it's funny that you say that. I've been really fortunate to be able to raise so many voices in the media since, August of 2021 from Afghan women. But those are Afghan women who already have the luck of having access to the internet, because I'm not inside the country.
Yeah.
And so I've missed a whole series of stories from women who don't have the internet, who are not allowed to, to communicate with the external world, who don't have that level of access. And there are so many stories I've missed, but you're right. All of the stories, the most powerful stories I've been able to tell have been the stories of individual women and what they have lost and what their life looks like now. There's just nothing like telling a story to get humans to understand that we're really not all that different. And this is the circumstances are just incredible. Masood, I would love to ask you, you remained in Afghanistan. Did you have to remain there? Did you want to remain there? And how difficult is it for you to continue covering the real activities that are happening inside the country right now?
Yeah, of course. I'm right now. I live in Kabul in Afghanistan, and I prepared a special report for you. The difficulties of reporting under Taliban government in Afghanistan right now. I will read and I will share with you. Working in media in Afghanistan under the Taliban government is very hard and dangerous, actually. Since the Taliban took control in 2021, they have made strict rules to journalists and media outlets. These rules make it almost impossible to report freely. Journalists are often told that why can and cannot say, especially on topic that like women's rights, protests, and human rights abuses. If journalists report something that Taliban does not like, they can be arrested or threatened or even killed him. Many live in constant fear for their lives. This fear focuses some reporters to avoid covering important issues, which limits the truth from reaching the public. Women journalists face even bigger problems. The Taliban has stopped many women from working in the media, and those who still trying to work face strike controls and risks. Their voices are being silenced, which means stories about women's issues are not being told. Many problems make the situation worse. Many media organizations have shut down because they don't have even enough funding, and international support that's cut out. Those still open struggle to play workers and keep running. Many skilled journalists had left the country to stay safe, leaving forever people to do this important work. Even with all these challenges, some brave reporters continue to share the truth. They work seriously to report on that to real happening, but it's very risky right now. Without free media, the Taliban controls that people hear and see, and the world gets less information about that happening in Afghanistan. For journalists in Afghanistan, their work is just a job. It's dangerous fight to keep the truth alive. Every day, they face huge risk to do their part of freedom or justice.
It is really incredible. And what's it like for you? Are you concerned about your safety reporting from Afghanistan?
Not at all. Everyone that's working media in Afghanistan are in dangerous and at risk. Actually, not just him or her. His family also at dangerous in Afghanistan, and they can't say true and also make a report truly for broadcasting because the Taliban don't allow us to broadcast the true news for the people of Afghanistan. They threaten us that we can't broadcast all news that's happening in Afghanistan.
Sure. It's very disconcerting to watch from outside. You can tell which outlets have been infiltrated by the Taliban, or which ones are kowtowing to the Taliban, and which ones are really reporting the truth. It's so clear. Well, I appreciate all that Afghan journalists are continuing to do, and I know, Freshta, you said that you had some reporting on women's issues and numbers too of that your journalists had come up with some numbers, and I'd love to hear about what you have turned up.
Thanks, Beth. So at Afghanistan Journalist Support Organization, AJSO, we have been conducting a new research on the right of having access to information for women journalists in Afghanistan, like how many % of them they have the access to information in the country because of their gender. So the numbers are shocking. Around 102 women journalists, that 80% of them are residing inside Afghanistan in different provinces of the country, still working in the field of journalism. they have said that 58% of them, they do not have right of access to information, and it's because of their gender. So let's say they are going to the different entities, or they are reaching out to different sources in Afghanistan to be able to cover and complete the report, but because of being a woman inside the country, they are being denied of having that access to the information. And so they are saying like 40% of the people, they are saying they are using both Taliban sources and non-Taliban sources. And 7% of them, they are not just relying on the Taliban sources, because it's either way not true. And we are seeing that the Taliban are not sharing the truth, and they are afraid of sharing that truth with the people because of the various reasons. So they are not relying on those, and 7% of these women, they are using non-Taliban sources only. And if we just, have an idea of this issue, we can see that there are women who are working with the exiled media and also the international media, and they are reporting on the realities of Afghanistan from inside the country. That is a huge, resilience. And also the problem, they are facing so many challenges, and like in daily basis, working with them, they're saying like we do not have any physical security, or even the online security that we could say like digital safety. They do not have this one. And one of the very important issues that AJSO is working on is to be able to conduct those digital safety trainings for all these, not only women journalists, but for all the journalists inside the country, because they have to be able to, save themselves first, and then on the second stage, they can share the information. So in a very recent initiative, we do have, because Masood was asking about that fear of, reporting on the realities of Afghanistan, you were also pointing it out. So what we are doing is, at a very recent initiative, that we are connecting Western journalists with the Afghan journalists inside the country, so that they will be able to, a very safe communication or safe way, to be able to get that information out of Afghanistan. The people of the world know that what actually is happening in the country, So those has to be like, those strategies or those policies has to be very safe, and we're actually doing it. Also the women journalists who are reaching out to the Taliban, sources for gathering the information, they found the security organization in the country very less friendly. So they do not want to share information with them. And that's a very obvious fact, and everybody knows that, of course, because of the security and so many other issues that they do not want to be cleared for all the people, they are not sharing those information. And regarding that limited right of access to information in the country, 69% of these women are saying that their work has been impacted, and they are not able to, perform the way they want. And that's sad, because, all we have in journalism is to be able to gather information. So without no information, how we're going to survive in this field? So that's a bit disappointing, but there are some strategies, of course, and the recommendation always in every research that we have been gathered, and we want those who have at least the upper hand to bring a positive change in the environment, they took those actions.
I immediately started thinking of stories that I've heard of news that the Taliban have tried to quash. The number of suicides that have taken place in Afghanistan is one thing that they have not wanted to be honest about. And
exactly.
I can't imagine how difficult it would be then to report on that from inside the country. It would be dangerous. They don't want that out. And so you can't get the information, but if you share information from Western sources, you are endangered for sharing that information. But you don't want to say what the Taliban are saying because it's nonsense. So that is just such
It is.
a difficult conundrum. What are other things outside of suicide statistics that the Taliban have tried to tamp down and not let reporters or the outside world see?
Of course, there are so many issues that they do not want to be reported for the people outside the country, and the situation of women, or let's say the very easiest thing, which is like about the education and the girls who are back from school for more than 3 years. Like if any Afghan journalist in any program, they will be asking about the girls in school. They're saying like even before the interview, they're saying like, hey, do not ask this question, do not just even pop it up, because we are not going to respond to that one. But there are some of the journalists, you can see that they will be viral everywhere that, oh, these courageous Afghan journalists, they were able to ask about the ban of the schools, and the Taliban, they didn't have any response to that. And of the education, the health, the economy, of course, like every report that they are producing it, like at the very end of the day, they have to be censored. I was talking to, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to one of the female journalists who was our representative in Afghanistan, who would like to share the information. She said, like, can you even believe when I'm writing a report in the middle of the day, working on that from the very early in the morning until noon or the afternoon, and then when I submit my work to the editor, and when they return my work back to me, I'm reading it and I can't even recognize, like, what is my report even? Like, to that point, it will be, filtered or censored. So that can show the very, dire situation for the freedom of speech in Afghanistan and the work of journalism.
Absolutely.
And the women, Beth, sorry to cut you off, the women in Afghanistan, the women journalists especially, they have a dual identity of, they are under the threat because of the dual identity, like the being a woman, and on the second stage being a woman journalist. So like two filters that the Taliban are, getting those two things from the women, and like put pressure on them, like, you are a woman and you are a woman journalist, so you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do X or Y or these things. That's why they are facing the threats.
Absolutely. Masood, what do you see outside of, the things that Freshta has mentioned that the Taliban are trying to keep from coming outside the country? What facts and information?
Okay, Mrs. Freshta say truth, because 1 month ago, some of my coworkers shared some information about the Taliban with the medias out of Afghanistan, like Afghanistan International, BBC, or CNN. Right now, all of my coworkers are arrested by Taliban, and they can't share. Every day, they told us that we can't broadcast some of series, movies, songs, or all of limitation that they don't want it. That's very difficult to work in medias in Afghanistan. Actually, for women or girls, work is very difficult, because one week ago, some of the heads of Taliban told that girls cannot work in any private sections, and slowly I know that they ban working for all girls in Afghanistan. That's very bad.
What can you tell me about, because the Taliban have, what opportunities are available for women right now? They've banned nursing training, midwifery training, working for NGOs, so what is available to women at the moment, Masood?
At the moment, they can only educate or listen in liking just in nursing or some of medical sections. But I know that 1 month later they ban this section also, because they are all days speaking on them.
What other things have you seen, in the Western media, only certain things about what's happening to women end up leaking out? I think this month we heard about the windows. New houses cannot include windows that could possibly let passersby see women inside. And that, NGO employment is banned, which is an old order. That was from December 2022, but now it seems that they're going to actually enact it. And then obviously midwifery training stopping. But what other things have happened this month that maybe haven't leaked out, or in recent months that haven't leaked out to Western media? Masood, do you want to start, and then Freshta?
Uh, 1 month ago, they told that even girls can not allowed to go out of home, and they told for medias actually, they told you cannot you are not allowed to broadcast any alive things on screen, even men or women. You can just allow to broadcast nature's animals, and like this you are not able to broadcast human on a screen.
Freshta, what else are you seeing from? Yeah.
Thanks, Beth. There are so many things. Like I was now thinking like just to which one to share first. I have to share the fact of the Taliban. Also, they do not have any clear idea of what they really want to impose on women. Further, because everything has literally banned for the women in the country. Like no education, no work. Like what remained? Like they cannot even go to the public parks and walk, which is very famous here. Like talking to someone like, hey, let's go for a walk. And the people and the women in Afghanistan, they do not have this right, which is very simple. It's very confusing sometimes when I'm thinking like what this group really want from the women in the country. So and basically the censorship and not having the right of access to information, the gender violence in the country happening, and not being able to dress the way they really want, and also not being able to go out without a male guardian, and also not being able to pursue the education or to say the very basic things that they really want to say it. If you think about the reality of Afghanistan, the media system in Afghanistan, after the takeover of the Taliban, there are so many YouTube channels that have been created, and most of them they are being run by women. And I'm just afraid, with all these bans, will the Taliban really allow these all initiatives to be still going on in the country? This is ringing a bell. I'm saying it because like the way that the Taliban is imposing every single order that they had during the 1996, and imposing that on women right now, like we are going to the very dark ages of Afghanistan, the same like the very first takeover of the Taliban. So the international community, the people who have the upper hand to do something, to bring a change, they have to come together. Like this is 3 years, constantly that they are being banned. Okay, women on X thing, women on Y things, women on A, B, C, like everything is banned for women. Like what has remained literally? When you were asking me, I was like, what should I share now? Like no life for women. Maybe someday like you shouldn't breathe anymore. Okay? So there should be an action. Like let's get out of this, symbolic gestures to actively defend the right of women in Afghanistan. That's what I say, and we have to take action.
I agree. I always wonder what else can they take, and then they take something. They will not stop taking. And I mean, I remember when the one Talib said, Well, women only need one eye to see to be able to go, so they can cover the other. And I just thought, you've got to be kidding me. Luckily, they didn't go through with that,
Yeah.
but it's they will keep taking until they can't take anymore. And now, with I think for me, the midwifery ban was the one that was a final straw for me, and I think should have been a final straw for the community, because now they're not only harming the future of women, they're
Mm-hmm.
harming the whole future of Afghanistan,
Mm-hmm.
with maternal mortality rates doomed to go up again and infant mortality rates doomed to go up again. Like, you're
Exactly.
not just now, you're harming everyone because of your misogyny. It's despicable, and you're right, no one is doing anything concrete right now. There's just a lot of, big names over at the UN and in various organizations saying this is bad, but no one's
Exactly.
actually making a difference. What else?
Exactly.
And I hate to, so obviously the situation for women is just so terrible, but the situation for Afghans isn't better. It's for all Afghans, for men, for children, for the elderly. Like, it's bad all around. And so what are the other things that the international media is missing for all Afghans right now, that we should have our eye on? Because I think you're right, Freshta, we are
Mm-hmm.
facing the dark days again. It's
Mm-hmm.
100%. This is pre 9/11. I'll let you start, Masood.
I want to share the summary of my speaking. Under the Taliban, living in Afghanistan had some difficulties like limited rights for women, strict rules, lack of freedom, economic hardship, fear, and uncertainty. These are the main un, actually the big problems of all Afghan people, especially of journalists in Afghanistan. They live with fear, and all of them trying to leave Afghanistan to live better with their families. Even for me, for all of my co-workers, we don't want to live with fear under the Taliban government right now in Afghanistan.
I completely understand that. I would not want to either. And I cannot imagine what it's like to live under that regime. What about you, Freshta? What do you see that the international media isn't covering about the state of the country overall?
Oh, there are a lot of things. I'm not underestimating that the efforts that has been already done by the international media organization or the international media, but I'm saying like there are something else that we need to dig deeper into that, like those unique stories, those unique, problems, even the challenges. Even with covering Kabul, like it was me and some of my colleagues that were insisting, like constantly, that Kabul cannot be counted as Afghanistan only. There are so many faraway villages in Afghanistan that must to be covered. There are so many women that even before the Taliban, they were struggling with the very fundamental rights that they didn't have access to. So those should be covered. There should be like very clear policies and like strategies to be able to cover the realities of Afghanistan. Um, I'm always saying like do not count Afghanistan or do not treat Afghanistan the way that the other countries are in danger. I know that there are so many harmful things, so many disasters going on all around the world. But the in Afghanistan, this is a very unique case. The women are not allowed to pursue education, like the only country. Can you even believe it? So this shouldn't be treated the same way as other countries. Even in the process of launching any new program for them, launching the funding, like talking to the people, covering the threats and the dangers that the people are facing in Afghanistan, that has to be different than other worlds because the case is different. That's why the rule of the media, the international media, that has to be something like beyond this only reporting, writing 2-3 pages and then reporting and that's it. No, this has to be shared with those who have the upper hand. Let's say, for example, if any uh, prominent, international media is covering the report, please, report that one to the UN. Please report that one to the, UNHCR, to those who really have something in hand to do as an action, you know? And we have to keep pushing this international community and those who are in a very strategic place of doing something for Afghanistan. So this advocacy shouldn't be stopped. And it's not only for international media, like me as a journalist who is coming out of Afghanistan, like experiencing a peaceful life outside Afghanistan. I have to do something for the people to the point that I can. Those who have the ability at least to do something, even a very single post, Facebook post, you know, that can bring a change. And I'm calling on all the people in the international community, like no matter international media organization, like Western journalists like you, or like the people who are living in exile, Afghan journalists inside the country, like we all have to come together. Let's not to stop advocacy. Like advocacy, I really believe on that. There will be a result at the very end of the day from this constant advocacy going on. So the unique stories of the women has to be covered, not only statistics. Go to the very far village of Helmand, what a woman is struggling there. Go to the very far village of, you know, Bamiyan or Badakhshan. Just go and find out those unique stories, share it with the world and say, like, you know, this is the reality. It's not only Kabul that a woman is not allowed to go to school and that's it. No, if a woman is not allowed to go to school, go and see like how they are, you know, struggling with the daily life, what they are doing, like how they are, you know, spending this 24 hours of the day. Like that has to be covered, I think.
I think you're right. I think that that's all vital. Because it's something that so many of us can't. When you look at it that way, it is a question of how can I not stand up for these women? And you're right, it has been going on. You know, I've talked about this book probably, I don't know, a dozen times on the podcast. But Last to Eat, Last to Learn by Pashtana Durrani is an incredible story of the young girls in Kandahar who didn't have access to education prior to the Taliban takeover because the Taliban continued to get rid of their schools. And the leaders decided, okay, well, they don't really need it anyway, I guess. And Pashtana said, well, that's wrong. Yeah. And created a way for them to get access to that and continues to try to do that. But there are so many unique stories and the country is so diverse. So it is so important to hear from women of different backgrounds and different areas about what their life is like. I certainly hope that that your organization can help get those women in touch with the international media and that they will continue to raise those stories, because you're right. And in fact, I have, right before this episode, I did a small episode just talking about how much pain there is in the world right now. And there's a lot of it. And that's part of the reason that this media spotlight continues to get further and further from Afghanistan. We had Ukraine, we had, you know, Gaza, and we've had now with just a lot of other big activity in the U.S. There's just no space, it seems, for Afghanistan. And yet things in Afghanistan are the worst that they've ever been.
Exactly.
So we really, we can't afford, and neither can the people of Afghanistan afford to have, to be forgotten right now. I wanted to ask you about this earlier, Freshta, but we moved forward so fast that I totally forgot. I'd love to hear about how the AJSO got started and what was the reason for starting it, and has that reason played out for you?
Yeah, of course. Okay, so the Afghanistan Journalist Support Organization, AJSO, was created by a group of university professors who have had the experience of, teaching journalism in Afghanistan before the takeover, and also a group of prominent Afghan journalists who have been evacuated outside the country. And we all came together and established AJSO on August 2022 in Germany. And it is a non-profit organization, and it operates to promote and support freedom of expression for Afghanistan, and of course a non-religious organization, and we are committed to respecting beliefs and religions, which is created for the protection of Afghan journalists, which is also based on a free democratic system and in accordance with the constitution of course, the Federal Republic of Germany. And there are so many programs going on in AJSO that this is a very short episode to cover all the activities that we are literally doing advocacy for the rights of these Afghan journalists. And within our advocacy committee for women journalists, we are conducting capacity building trainings for women journalists who are still residing inside Afghanistan, who are outside the country. Of course, the mental health programs that we do have for the Afghan journalists, the digital security trainings we do have for them, and also we were able to manage to have to bring all those Afghan journalists who have been evacuated outside the country all over the 11 countries that we are operating right now, and more than 600 Afghan journalists are within our network that we are in communication with them on daily basis. The advocacy initiatives, I'm always saying that advocacy is the main thing that AJSO is doing right now, and we believe that there will be a day that we can bring a change, but all together. And also the being able to share the information very safely with the Western journalists is another initiative that AJSO is working on that. And I do ask everyone who is in need of information about Afghanistan or want to cover the issues in Afghanistan, they can just reach out to me. They can reach out to Beth. There might be, I don't know, Beth, if there will be an email or something that the people will be commenting, so they can ask for my contact, and we are able to put you in contact with Afghan journalists or informants in the country, so to be able to, bring that information out that are like not being told yet. And there are some other programs that we are doing for Afghan journalists in exile and those who are inside the country. That for the details, they can just go to the AJSO website and read more about those initiatives.
Incredible. Yeah, I will link to all of any contact information you want me to share will be in this episode at the bottom. And you can also reach out to the Afghanistan Project podcast at gmail.com at any time, and I will try to get you in touch with folks, so long as you're not, a secret member of the Taliban. Then I'm not, there's no help coming if that's the case. Masood, I wanted to ask you one final question. What made you choose to join AJSO when you could have just as well continued working for the media and reported things that were friendly to the Taliban?
I like collaborating with AJSO because it stands for freedom of expression, supports independent journalism, and work to empower Afghan voice. It allows me to contribute to true justice and the betterment of society. Actually, I don't like the Taliban regime because it suppresses freedom, silences media, and denies basic human rights, especially for women and minorities. Their rules creates fear, limit progresses, and harm the future of Afghanistan.
Freshta, it's been amazing to talk to you, and Masood too, about all of these intricacies of reporting from Afghanistan and how vital it is to continue this reporting, and for people like myself and others to reach out to AJSO and get the real story from inside Afghanistan. So thank you so much for being here. And do you have any final words? I feel like you've said a lot of important things, but do you have any final words today?
Thank you so much for everything you're doing.
I'm really sorry about my internet connection. The biggest problem of our people in Afghanistan, our biggest problem is electricity. That in 1 week we almost have one night electricity in Afghanistan, in Kabul, That's the biggest problem of us. Right now, we have just 10% charge in my phone. I think the internet connection is too bad tonight. I'm sorry about it. And thank you so much for the time that you gave us to share these informations that Afghan journalists are at risk and they do their works at various situation in Afghanistan. They work with fear and share information with people and foreign people about situation of Afghanistan, about situation of people of Afghanistan. That's a very terrible situation. Thank you so much for this time that give to me.
And thanks, Beth. Thanks for having
honor.
us. Thank you so much for everything that you do for the people of Afghanistan and raising this awareness. It's very important to all of us.
And I say sorry about my English, that it's not very fluently. I'm really sorry about it.
Oh, your English is fine. Trust me. You don't want to hear me try to speak. I can't speak Dari or Pashto, and I can only speak like the minutest bit of Arabic that makes me sound like an absolute. I've tried to speak Arabic with people who speak Arabic, and they're like, "What are you trying to say?" So trust me, your English is beautiful.
Thank you so much. I will trying to get better in next interviewing.
Yeah, well, that's, you just keep talking to all us folks trying to keep covering Afghanistan, and it'll just get better and better. Thank you both so much for everything that you're doing, for being brave and standing against the Taliban when it would be much easier to just try to go with the flow. It's very, it makes me feel good about the state of the world. I want to thank all the listeners for sharing their time, for supporting the people of Afghanistan, and Tashakur, and hope to see you again soon.